All right, my 8th grade friends, part 2, factoring trinomials. So it's about to get real right now. So first of all, in these first couple two examples we have a negative sign out here. So I want to make sure that we understand what that means. We have the negative sign that we're going to put outside the parentheses. Okay? And so we want to make sure, I'm going to put a little separation line here so we can kind of keep that organized. When I put the negative sign out here, as we talked about last time, that now switches what I'm thinking about here. Since this is a negative 6, I'm going to be looking for two numbers that equal a positive 6, okay, when they're multiplied together. And when we do the adding part, when we start to do the outer and the inner, remember now we have a 6 here, so we've got to think of our different combinations. We're going to end up with a plus 13. So because there's the negative sign here, we want to remind ourselves that we're looking for a plus 6 and a plus 13 when we kind of do the outer and the inner of the FOIL method. Well, first of all, what are the different ways that I can get a positive 6? Well, I could have a positive 2 and a positive 3, okay? But if I think I could also have a negative 2 and a negative 3, but there's no way that this can be two negatives because added together, it has to be a positive 13. So I don't even have to worry about putting the negatives. That's just more work because when I do the outer and the inner, I realize, oh, this has to take up a plus 13. So then I want to think about 6x. Well, when I think about 6x, there's different ways I can come up with 6. It can be 6 times 1. It can be 3 times 2. So I'm thinking, well, all right. So let's see what happens here. Let's say I want to do 6x and x. Well, let's see if that works. So I have 6x times 3 is 18x, 2x, 18x plus 2x gives me 20x. That's not going to work. So I could switch it. 6x plus 3, x plus 2. All right, well, 6x times 2 is 12. 3 times x is 3. 12 and 3 give me 15. I need a plus 3. So that's not going to work. All right, the other possibility is with 6, it could be a positive 1 and a positive 6. So let's see what happens if I do 6x plus 1 and x plus 6. Well, let's see what happens. Well, 6x times 6, whoa, that's 36x. No way. Well, what about 6x plus 6 and x plus 1? Let's see if that's going to work. Well, 6x times 1 is 6x. 6 times 1x is 6x. 6x and 6x only gives me 12x. So that's not going to work. So that's telling me that perhaps this 6x and x is not right, that I need to look for the 3 and the 2. So we're going to go 3x and 2x, and we're going to have to try these same combinations, plus 2 plus 3, okay? So we're just going to go through. Like I said the other day, 8th grade, this is trial and error. You got to try to make these things work. So I know that my 2 and my 3 give me 6, so let's do the outer, which is 3x times 3. Well, that's 9x. 2 times 2x, that's 4x. 9x plus 4x gives me a plus 13x. So my final answer, and I need to remember to put a negative sign there, is negative 3x plus 2, 2x plus 3. There we go. Let's look at another one. Once again, I have a negative 5, so I know I'm going to need a negative. The joy about this is that there's only one way to make 5, and that's 5 and 1. So I know I'm going to have 5x and x. Now, since I have the negative sign, remember what I'm after. two numbers that multiplied together equal a positive 2, but somehow when they're added together is going to give me a negative 7. So I've got to think, what in the world is going on here? Multiplied together is going to be a positive, but added together it's going to be a negative. It's going to give me a negative 7 because my signs are switching because of the negative sign. Well, that pretty much gives it away, because if I need a negative answer when I'm adding, it's going to have to be two negatives, because the only way I'm going to get a positive 2 is by either doing a positive 2 times a positive 1 or a negative 2 times a negative 1. I either have to have two positives or two negatives. And the only way when I go and do the outer and the inner that it's going to end up as a negative 7 is if I do two negative numbers. So we know it has to equal a positive 2. So let's try negative 2, negative 1. Let's see what happens. 5x times a negative 1 makes a negative 5. Negative 2 times a 1x, that's a negative 2. A negative 2 and a negative 5 give me negative 7. I like it when I get my answer right the first time. Negative outside, 5x minus 2, x minus 1. All right? Moving right along. Not all the time are they going to get negative answers. Okay? Sometimes it's just going to be a positive here, like 10x squared, okay, minus 3x minus 27. Well, the first thing I want to think about here is now I'm after signs here that are going to be, that aren't changing because there's no negative sign. So I'm looking for two numbers multiplied together equal a negative 27. I know the only way that I can get a negative answer when I multiply is if one of the numbers is negative and one of the numbers is positive. I've got to think about my various ways that I get 10. Okay, when I multiply. I'm thinking 5 times 2, and I'm thinking 10 times 1. So, let's see what happens. 5x, 2x. This is trial and error. My 5x and 2x gives me 10x squared. I've got to think, how can I get a negative 27 when I multiply? Well, it could be a negative 9 times a positive 3. It could be a negative 3 times a positive 9. Technically, it could be a negative 27 times a positive 1. And it could be a negative 1 times a positive 27. I got to think about all those possibilities. But then also I have to remember that this 5x times 2x may not be right. I may exhaust all of these options and 5x and 2x still isn't right. All right? It's about trial and error. I may have to go back if this 5x and 2x isn't right and go back and use 10 and 1. But we have to try them just to see. So let's try the negative 9 and the positive 3. All right? And let's see how that works. All right? I have negative 9 times a positive 2. That's negative 18x. Okay? 5x times a positive 3 is a positive 15x. When I have a negative 18x and a positive 15x, that combines to be a negative 3x. All right? Mr. Swack, without even looking at the answer, without even really realizing it, I had the combination right the first time. We like to be lucky. But you can't just put whatever number you want, 8th grade. When you turn in your assignment, you can't just plug in numbers and think that that's okay. You actually have to do the trial and error, do the figuring, okay? Don't be lazy. Do the work that you know you need to do. Do the figuring. Watch the video. Rewatch the video. Come on to the Zoom session. Get help, which a lot of you are not doing. I will put that plug in right now. A lot of you are not doing that. Please watch the Zoom session. But just to rework, we got lucky here. We went with the 5 and the 5x and the 2x. That gave us 10x squared. Okay? Negative 9 and 2x was negative 18. 5x and 3 was positive 15. A negative 18 and a positive 15 gives me a negative 3. And I knew that negative 27 could work with negative 9 and positive 3. All right, let's try one more. Once again, I'm not looking at the answer. So let's see what happens. Well, I've got 6. There's different ways. There's going to be no negative sign. So once again, my two numbers add or multiplied together have to be negative 4. All right, so how do I get negative 4 when I multiply? Well, to get a negative, it's got to be a positive and a negative. So it could be negative 2 times a positive 2. That could work. It could also be a negative 4 times a positive 1, or it could be a negative 1 times a positive 4. All right? It's going to be one of those combinations. Now, what are the different ways that I can get up 6? Well, it could be 6 times 1, or it could be 3 times 2. So let's see what happens. Let's go 6x and x. And let's try this first one. Negative 2 plus 2. Well, let's see if I get a negative 5. 6x times 2 is 12x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. 12 and negative 2 give me positive 10. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a negative 5. So let's switch them. 6x plus 2, x minus 2. When I do 6x and negative 2, that's negative 12. 2 times x is positive 2. Negative 12 and positive 2 combine to form negative 10. I need a negative 5. That's not working. Let's go to negative 4 and 1. 6x minus 4, x plus 1. Well, let's see what happens. 6x times 1 is a positive 6x. A negative 4 times x is a negative 4. Positive 6 and negative 4 combine to be positive 2. I need a negative 5. Let's switch the numbers. 6x plus 1, x minus 4. 6x times a negative 4, well, that's negative 24x. And then if I'm just adding 1x, that's negative 23. That's nowhere close to negative 5. Let's try negative 1 and 4. 6x minus 1, x plus 4. Once again, 6x times 4 is 24x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. 24x and negative x gives me 23x. I need negative 5. Let's switch the numbers. 6x plus 4, x minus 1. 6x times a negative 1 is negative 6. 4 times x is a positive 4. Negative 6 and a positive 4 gives me negative 2. I need negative 5. I'm not there yet. That tells me I've exhausted all of these options with 6x and x. That tells me that I've got to work with 3 and 2. This is the trial and error. Okay? And so you can see 8th grade, even with Mr. Swack, okay, sometimes you have to go through trial and error. Now, I got lucky on example 3. Okay? And sometimes that happens. Not getting lucky on this one. So for 6x squared, I'm going to have to go 3x and 2x, and I'm going to have to use these same options. I'm going to try negative 2. I'm going to try positive 2. And I'm just going to go through the list just like I did with 6x and x. Well, let's see. 3x times 2 is 6x. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4x. When I combine 6 and negative 4, that gives me positive 2. I need a negative 5. So we switch the numbers. 3x plus 2, 2x minus 2. Let's see what happens. 3x and negative 2 is negative 6x. 2 and 2x is positive 4. Negative 6 and positive 4 give me a negative 2. I need a negative 5. Let's try negative 4 and 1. 3x minus 4, 2x plus 1. Well, 3x times 1 is 3x. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Hallelujah, 8th grade. Positive 3, which I get from 3x times 1, and negative 8, which I get from negative 4 times 2x. When I combine positive 3 and negative 8, I get a negative 5. I finally have my right answer. 3x minus 4, 2x plus 1. I will be available to help. You on this assignment during the normal Zoom session on Monday, April 27. We'll talk to you later. Bye.